Welcome back. We're talking about adrenal stress on the show. If you don't know what that's about, we have a naturopath joining us today, Dr. Jennifer Dyck, all the way from Kelowna. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, tell us a little bit more about adrenal stress. Should we be worried about this?
I think so, especially this time of year. We're just coming off that holiday stressful time, right? Our adrenals are what make our cortisol and our adrenaline. And so they can kind of get a little bit tired, especially if we don't take care of them throughout the rest of the year. So I've got a great, wonderful display here of things you can do to help with controlling that stress and to help support your adrenals. I always talk about the very first thing, though, is perspective. So how do you perceive a certain stress, right?
Yes.
You can look at a cactus. A cactus is beautiful, or you can sit on it. Right? Those cause different things at different perspective. So perception and perspective is really important right off the bat. Then we talk about, the basics, like learning to relax. What about, we always talk about FOMO and YOLO, and fear of missing out is a big thing for a lot of us with social media, but it's actually really important to just find that time every day, whether it's 10 minutes, 30 minutes to relax, deep breathing, do some yoga, some light stretching, and just incorporate that daily.
How can you really determine whether or not your adrenal stress is out of control? Are there tests that you can do? I know naturopaths offer all kinds of things like that.
Absolutely, you can get saliva testing, urine testing. There's also a great, this would be in any health food store, there's some magazines with quizzes that you can actually do to understand how that stress is affecting you, because some people, when they're under stress, are feeling more wired and tired, and others are actually feeling more of that exhaustion, and that can be indicative of very different levels of your cortisol.
Sure, and if you've had that high stress level for a long time, it starts to wear you down and break you down. That's when you're really vulnerable.
That's when you're vulnerable. That's when you really have to work on that foundation. Just like you cannot build a house with a strong foundation, same goes for your body. So that means really healthy food, a multivitamin if you need it, light exercise, good fish oils, and then supplements as necessary.
So yeah, you're talking a little bit about these supplements. I mean, food is probably always the best thing to take in terms of getting the best pack of nutrients, right?
Absolutely.
But some people, we don't have time. We're living in the modern world here. We don't have time to sit down and eat all of our food groups. What do you recommend to really cover off?
Well, definitely lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains. If you can't get it all, look for a good multivitamin that's coming from food. I like this particular one right here because it's more local. We're actually getting that fruits and vegetables from the Okanagan, so I do like to support local and Canadian. Fish oils is another really important one here, right? So omega-3 fatty acids are anti-inflammatory. They support our brain. We need a lot of good brain power to function through times of stress. Nuts and seeds are also really important. And when it comes to some of our other hormones that can be affected by cortisol, we also want to incorporate things like garlic and broccoli and flaxseed as well.
Awesome. Let's take us for a walk through how it works if you want to get tested, your cortisol levels tested. How does that work?
So it's pretty simple. You would go to see a naturopathic doctor, and again, depending on how that particular person practices, would recommend either saliva or urine testing. Usually you just take that kit home, you do that, send it off, and those results are reported fairly quickly.
I've heard that the urine test is more specific than the saliva. Is that the case or no?
It depends, for sure. So the saliva is good, very simple and straightforward. The urine test is looking at not just those hormones, but also the metabolites as well.
Okay, and so then based on what your findings are, you can sort of be recommended as what to do to help get things back on track.
I think that's very important. We're all looking for individualized medicine now, and instead of stabbing in the dark, right, and trying to figure out what could be happening with your body, it is good to actually have that diagnosis.
Any other recommendations?
Well, water. Let's not forget about water.
Let's not.
Let's not forget about sleep, and be positive and be grateful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic recommendations. If you are looking for more information on this, certainly there's a couple of websites on the screen. freshhealth.ca, Women's BC Voice magazine as well. Is that where you write articles for, or what is that magazine?
Yep. A lot of NDs will write different articles, so you get a nice broad range of opinions there.
Right. Staying informed is the best way.
Absolutely.
Right. Awesome. Dr. Jennifer Dyck, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Safe travels back to Kelowna for you today.
Thank you very much.
All right. Quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.